All right, hello. I am Professor Ashley Poteet, and I am the instructor for Makeup for the Stage this semester. Um, Welcome to the class. I know we've done the introductory forum. If you have not yet done your post there, please make sure you do that as soon as you can so we can all say hello. So typically I teach this class face to face. As you are all aware, we are doing this online. So instead you get to see my bathroom, my shower curtain. I hope you enjoy it. And I will be recording these on my iPad. I don't have a cool halo light, so I'm sorry about that. And I'm sorry about the video quality, but this is the equipment that I have at hand. So we're gonna make it work, which is what we're all doing in this time, and that's totally normal. And also, that's kind of what we do in theater all the time, so that's fine. For this first lecture, what I want to do is I want to show you a few products, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right into contouring. The products that I want to show you are the ones that are not part of the makeup kit, that you may or may not choose to get, and that you do need to get, that you'll have to order either from Amazon or from Ben Nye or Norcosco or something like that. And the first of those is your Bruise and Effects wheel. This is Narrative Cosmetics, and I got this off of Amazon. You can get this from Ben Nye, Mayron, things like that. But you do need to have the colors that are in this, which are standard for the Special Effects Bruise Effects wheel. It's got a yellow, a green, a red, a brown, a violet, and a black. You will need all of these for our upcoming projects. Party City and some of those Halloween places will start selling things like this. Do not get them from there. Those are going to be grease paint or grease makeup or clown paint, or clown makeup is what they'll be called. They do not cover well and they're very bad for your skin, so just don't waste the money on those. You'll also need to get your nose and scar wax. This is also a Narrative Cosmetics, and it'll just look like this. You can get it Ben Nye, Mayron again. I think they might sell something like this at Party City, and if that's the case, go for it, because it's all the same. It's just wax, so it's fine. And then you also need your liquid latex. I haven't even taken mine out of the packaging yet. Liquid latex will come in this white, which is it dries clear this way, or it will come with kind of the same tint to it as this nose and scar wax, and in that case it kind of dries just a little darker than the color it is. It's still translucent, but it does have that tone of that beige skin tone to it. With nose and scar, it's going back to that. If you do have a darker skin tone, you can sometimes find like a nice, they do have some like warm rich browns instead of just the beige. If you cannot find one that's a darker color, that's totally fine, because this is a base that we will apply foundation over, so don't worry about it. But if you want to and you can find it, go for it. But again, it's gonna be okay if you can't. Okay, so again, those are 3 things that you will need to order that are theatrical makeup. Again, I got mine on Amazon. I'm not a very pro Amazon person, but sometimes you gotta do it. So that's where I got mine. Now for this course, I said that you could buy the theatrical makeup kit, or you could get the list of items I suggested and use those for your kit. And that's actually how I will be doing the lectures. I will be using the kind of makeup that you can get from a drugstore, Dollar General, Target, Walmart, CVS. And I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. One, I have very sensitive skin. You can see that my skin's already started to break out from starting to put some makeup on to do these lectures. I typically don't wear makeup because I do have very sensitive skin and I just don't like makeup. So my skin is already very unhappy with me, combined with summer and swimming and sunlight and mask wearing with sweating. And I think a lot of you might find that to be the case for you as well, that your skin is not going to be happy with you during the next couple of months. And that's not necessarily because of the makeup, but because you are spending time cleaning off your faces, moisturizing, putting makeup on, cleaning off again, you are going to be putting your skin through a bit of rough treatment. So make sure that you're taking really good care of your skin. Moisturizing is really, really important, and also keeping your skin clean. And that's going to help you as just a general rule, especially while we're wearing masks, because a mask tends to encourage the growth of bacteria and things because it's capturing the moisture of our breath. And that's the point of the mask. It's supposed to keep the moisture of our breath in, because that way it keeps viral particles from spreading. So that's good, but it is less good for our faces. So just keep that in mind. I would also say, if you're someone who has facial hair, I would prefer that you go ahead and shave that off for this class. If you need to keep your facial hair, please message me and let me know, and we'll talk about it. But otherwise, you will find that being clean shaven is going to work out best for you for this class. So make sure you go ahead and do that. And if you are someone who has facial hair and shaves on a daily basis, make sure that you put several hours between shaving and putting this makeup on, because again, it will tend to, when you're shaving, you should use warm water, and that does tend to open up your pores, which is just not great for them putting stuff on top of it, because it encourages bacterial growth. So shave in the morning and then wait a couple hours and do your makeup. Okay, so I'm done with that. So now let's go ahead and get into contouring, which is the point of today's lecture, aside from all the other things I just said. So contouring is essentially the basics of stage makeup. With contouring, we're not fixing our faces, because there's nothing wrong with your face. What we are doing is we are adding definition to our features. Now, when you are on stage in theater, there are very bright lights. In my bathroom, and I shouldn't have looked directly at them, I have 4 incandescent lights. Well, they're not incandescent, they're the high efficiency, but they have the color temperature of incandescent lights, so they're kind of amber, they're very warm. And that's typically, what most of our day-to-day lives, we're in lights like this, or fluorescent lights, or sunlight. But on stage, you're going to be under lights that are incredibly powerful and a lot of different colors because of gel and LEDs and things like that. So your facial features will tend to get washed out and very flattened. If you want to kind of do an experiment with this, you can take a flashlight or the flashlight on your camera phone and stand in front of a mirror and shine it on your face, and you can see how, depending upon where the angle of the light is, it really will take away the dimension of your features. So with contouring, unlike with glamour contouring, which a lot of the supplemental videos cover, they're still good techniques, but we're not doing contouring for the daily. We're doing contouring for appearing on stage. And so what we want to do is we want to emphasize features. So we want to take a look at our hairlines, and we want to see if we want to keep or adjust any of that. We want to touch our eyebrows. Our eyebrows are super expressive. I'm sure you noticed from doing your sketches for your facial structure project that with all the emotions you were displaying, your eyebrows are so critical. So if your eyebrows kind of get washed out on stage, and you can see, I have fairly dark hair, but my eyebrows don't grow in evenly because it's hair and it's a human being, it being me. So, if I was on stage, my eyebrow would look like this whole would get just totally washed out, and the same for over here. So I would look like, this is me with great eyebrows. So it's very important that I go ahead and fill those in. The eyes are very expressive too, like the eyebrows, but also simply, for other reasons as well. Your nose breaks up the face. And then you have your mouth, right? And we are talking on stage a lot of the time, so the audience will be looking at that, and you want to kind of help to emphasize that. And then of course you've got your jawline separating from your neck. And so what we are going to look at today are different ways to emphasize and kind of delineate all of those areas. So we're using some very basic materials today. I will be using a concealer. This is as close to fish belly white as I could get, which is pretty much what I am. Your concealer wants to be about 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. And I'm going to be using the concealer as both a concealer and also as my highlight, which I do recommend. It is very useful for that, and it blends really well because it's concealer. For my foundation, I'm actually going to be using this stick foundation. I like the stick foundations because I'm not a big fan of powder foundations, and I hate liquid foundations. So me personally, I love the stick foundations because it's kind of that nice creamy texture in between. And that's also going to be very similar to the Stage Makeup Kit. So if you got the Stage Makeup Kit, that's going to be very, very similar to the texture of that. Now, with the foundation, with all of these materials, do what you're most comfortable with. So if you love powder foundation, go for it. That's totally fine. These are just the things that I am using. And like with most things in life, you want to find what works best for you. So I'm giving you, a list of tools and techniques, and then you can adapt those as best to fit your needs. Great. So we've got foundation, we've got concealer. Next up, I have a blush. It is a very neutral blush. It's not, it's just a touch of color. And that is because the goal of contouring is to create for this project, is to create a very neutral, like, this is my normal face, except for emphasized for stage lighting. So we'll have just a little bit of color to the cheeks and a few other areas. For my shadow, I am actually going to be using a lipstick. I've got this really great, what is it called? It's called Double Shot. Is this really fantastic matte brown lipstick. And I'm using this for my shadow because it blends really nicely, and because I like it. If you don't find a good shadow color for your skin tone, or you don't want to use lipstick, it's fine. You can also use eyeshadow, like an eyeshadow palette. I recommend something like this. This is an e.l.f. palette. This brown right here is what I will be supplementing with my shadow for. This brown is closest to what the actual lipstick is, but it comes out very, very red, which so does the lip color, but there's no need to emphasize that. This highlight here is not quite light enough for my skin tone because I am so very frighteningly pale. But for those of you who, experience more vitamin D in your lives, it might be a good one. But I really like this palette because this range of colors will be very useful to us with our projects. And it also has black, which is always helpful. So there's that. I also will be using an eyeliner pencil. I like the kind of the crayon types as opposed to the pencil types. It's a personal preference. If you like pencils best, that's fine. If you like liquid better, that's fine too. Use whatever tool you're most comfortable with. If you are kind of a first timer, I would recommend getting this crayon type like I have. Those are typically going to be the best and easiest to work with.
Hello, Mommy.
Hello, Eleanor. Eleanor is my 5-year-old daughter. She may or may not interrupt these videos. So there we go with that. I will also be using a lip liner. This is, again, as close to a neutral color as I can possibly get, because that is sort of the point of this project, is to do, just your very neutral. I just stepped out of the sunlight onto the stage. And then I will also be using a very neutral lip color. And so this is, a very pale pink, which is very close to my natural lip color. And so that's why I'm going to be using that for this project. Then we have our set powder or our finishing spray. And for those, essentially, when you complete your makeup look, you want to add set powder or finishing spray. I've got the e.l.f. HD powder, which is going to be it should be white, because it will come on, it will not show up as anything. If you got the Stage Makeup Kit, you will have like a little guy that's like a shaker like this. It'll be a little closer to whatever skin tone type you got instead of the white translucent, but that's your finishing set powder. Alternatively, you can also use a finish spray, which I prefer, or if you don't want to use either of those, you can just get a little spritz bottle and do a little spritz of water when you're done. All that does is it kind of solidifies the makeup and it sets it, which is why it's called setting powder, or finishing spray, and then you're good to go. So, okay, so we've gone over our tools. Now we're just gonna dive right into it. So, my first step is to utilize some concealer. So I have a spot right here that I want to put some on, and I want to go ahead and get under my eyes. And then I am a big fan of using my finger to blend. You use whatever tools you want to. I just love finger painting, and this is the only way I get to really do it as an adult, because my child does all of her own finger painting. If you have the money or the interest, you can get something like a green or a purple primer. And those are very handy for taking down all of this. If you do tend to have a lot of redness in your face, you can use like a green concealer or a green primer, and that will kind of kill the color a little bit. So you'll have a much more neutral base to work with, but I'm not spending that money. So, okay. So the concealer I put on under the eyes to help with the shadows and on my spot over here. So the next up, I've got my foundation stick. So what I'm gonna do for that is I'm just gonna kind of like find a place and go in like that. And then I am actually going to use, I got this little wedgie dude. You can use makeup sponges, which are those kind of like triangular things that you get. You know, you can get quite a lot per package, and if you get that special effects wheel, the Narrative Cosmetics, they actually sent a package of I think like 10, so those are very, very handy for doing things like this. I guess you could use your fingers for this part, but even I am not the biggest fan of doing that much with my fingers. But it's your face and it's your life, so no judgment. You do you. And I apologize for the awkward silences. Again, I'm used to doing this in person, where I'm typically applying the makeup onto a model while I'm talking it through. So it's a little more challenging to talk through all the steps while I'm also, you know, putting stuff on my face. So there will be awkward silences, but I've put on some Eric Satie. So if you're, you know, a fan, then you've got a little bit of background for that. And if you're not, then I am deeply sorry that you're being subjected to that. Okay, and there we go. So we've got a pretty even foundation there. You can see where a lot of the red has been knocked down, right? And we've covered up where we put the concealer. I still have some shadow under my eyes, and that's just because who sleeps these days? And that's just the way it's going to be, and that's fine. So typically what I like to do is I like to do forehead down. Some people like to start with their eyes when they apply makeup, and that's totally fine. Again, I'm showing you tools and techniques, and you utilize them the way that you want to. I'm going to start off with my forehead. So looking at my hairline, again, there's nothing wrong with any of our faces. This is all about adding definition to our features. So you'll see that my hairline is not straight. I've got this little whoop that happens right here. You know, human faces are not symmetrical as much as we want them to be. If you were delivered vaginally, you know, there's a lot of pressure put on your skull. And even if you were cesarean delivery, our skulls just, you know, didn't make it through as perfect egg oval things. So our faces are not going to be symmetrical, and that's completely fine. And that can go for something like your hairline, to the height of your ears, to your eyebrows, to your lips, to everything. So don't stare at your face too long, because I promise you'll start to just see everything that is not symmetrical. Don't worry about it. We are going to go ahead and I'm going to try to take this over so it's more of a straight line. And I'm not going to go crazy with it though, because when I do release my hair that I've pulled back here, it will cover into that. But we are going to go ahead and we're going to work in some shadow into my hairline here. So again, I'm using this lipstick as my shadow color. I'm not going to just like with it. What I am going to do is I'm actually going to use a brush and I'm going to brush across the top of it, and then I'm going to come in and apply it. Now you'll notice that this brown is fairly red, and I did that on purpose because the brown in the theatrical makeup kits is also going to be a very red brown, and I truly have no idea why that is the case. It's just, regardless of the skin tone you order, I promise you, your brown is going to be weirdly red. And that's just unfortunately the way it goes, which is another reason why, I really encourage you to supplement, if you're going to be an actor, to supplement your makeup kit with things that you find over the years that work out really well for you. Don't feel that you have to do things the way that other people do or use things that other people do. You want to use what works best for you. So I'm not going to get crazy trying to go in through this area where I've got this interesting bald spot that I've never really noticed until I started making these contouring videos. This is the third one, by the way. I keep getting interrupted by the child and other things. This one's just going to stay in there. Sorry. Anyway, so I've started off by applying that shadow there. I'm going to go over that with a little bit of the eyeshadow brown. And this is the same brown that I'm going to use in a little bit to do my eyebrows as well. Having that cream, the lipstick brown down underneath, means that this brown has something to adhere to better, and it also means that there's more depth to it. Not that I'm encouraging anyone to put like 18 layers of makeup on their faces, but you'll notice that if you're putting a color on top of another color, it's going to work out better for you simply because there is not, it goes through color theory, which if you're interested in, we'll talk about, let me know, I guess, in your forum posts. But if you're not, that's fine. The point is, having the other shadow underneath that means that this shadow shows up better. So again, this is not for on the daily. This is for on stage. So keep that in mind. Okay, so that's my new hairline. Now we're gonna go ahead and move down to my eyebrows. And so I'm going to use that same brown shadow to fill these in. Now I'm just gonna warn you, your eyebrows are gonna look super dark and you're going to be deeply uncomfortable with the now rather dark caterpillars you have on your face. And I know, is all I can say is I know, but on stage, we need to be able to see those eyebrows. Now you can use the shadow, or you can also use a pencil. You can use whatever you're most comfortable with. If you use a pencil, then you kind of want to go in and do kind of like little hair strokes. Right? You don't want to like do an outline and fill it in. Please don't do that. Even when we get to something like covering our eyebrows and starting over entirely, we still don't want to just like draw an outline and fill it in. It will not look like what you want it to, I promise. Okay, so now we have our eyebrows, our face caterpillars, if you will. So then we're gonna go down to the eye itself. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to use the eyeshadow, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to trace over my crease here and then bring it over the actual eyelid. Now, if this area gets to be super dark, don't worry about it because we're gonna come back with our concealer. The point is not to get super dark though, so don't Don't go crazy. We're not doing a smoky eye or anything here. We're just trying to put a little bit of our shadow on to emphasize the eye shape. And don't be afraid to really work your brush into there. You're not going to hurt yourself unless your brush has like razor blades in it, which I don't recommend. Otherwise, you're going to be fine. And any mistakes that we have, don't worry about them, because we can come back and fix them when we get to our highlighting. That's one reason why I like to go ahead and do all of my shadow and then come back and do my highlights so that I can clean up any mistakes I've made, because we're human, we make mistakes. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm going to switch back to the pencil, and I'm going to go ahead and line my eyelid here. And I'm just doing the top. If you want to, you can do your waterline either in your neutral liner color or in white if you want to really make your eyes pop. Okay, and again, we are going to be coming through with some concealer to clean up this eyelid, so don't freak out too much about how interesting it looks right now. Okay, so now we're going to keep working our way down the face, and so we're going to go to the nose. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some shadow starting off in the eyebrow here and coming down through here on both sides of the nose to emphasize the bridge. If you ever wanted to change your nose shape, you know, if you wanted to do something that's like a little thinner or a little thicker, or even do like a broken nose type of thing, you can do it like this. You can also, of course, do that with prosthetic application, but this is kind of a easier, quicker way to do it. Okay. All right, so now we have my nose emphasis, and I'm just keeping it to the bridge. If you want to do anything with down here, you can. Just be careful, because it can tend to get muddy really quickly, and that's never a ideal look. But maybe we want to make the nostrils look a little less flared out, in which case we can go ahead and add some shadow on there. Again, you want to be careful that you don't get too muddy with things. And if you wanted to make the nostrils appear bigger, you would add a highlight here instead of the shadow. Okay, so now we're gonna go to our cheeks. Now, if you are someone who wants to do a kind of traditionally male presenting face or character, then you might want to do a nice straight line through here, so you have kind of like a more angular cut look. If you wanted to go for something that is traditionally more feminine presenting, then you would go for more of a swoopy. So, you know, you do you. I'm gonna do the cut line on this side, I'm gonna do a swoopy over here. So starting off with the cut line. And if you do go the route of using a lipstick for your shadow, make sure it is a matte finish. Do not get a shiny finish, and even avoid satin if you can. You will not be happy with the results if it's shiny. Okay, so you can see the difference between those two sides. I'm just gonna go a little more. Okay, and then I'm going to skip down to my jaw, and I'm going to go ahead and do some shadow kind of just underneath. You'll notice that I do not have the most definition naturally between my jaw and my throat, so having shadow is very helpful for that, although you want to be careful to not make it look like you've got some chin strap action, unless of course you want it to look like you've got some chin strap action, so just be mindful of that. Okay, the last thing we're going to touch on with the shadow before we put it down for a highlight is doing a little bit under our lip here. Now, this is only something I'd recommend if you want to make your bottom lip appear larger. We are going to, of course, shape it with our lip liner and lip color, but having that shadow there tends to make it look like it's a lot fuller. So if you want to do that, then do that. If you think that your lips are already full, then don't do that. If you think that if you want to make your lips look a little less full, you can always put a highlight under there, but I would wait and do that after we do the actual lip colors. Now, in one of the many videos I filmed that I'm not showing you, I did like a little chin dimple here. If you want to, go for it. If you have one that you want to emphasize, that's where your shadow would come in. I did this the first time and it was awful. I'm gonna do it again, just because I love to suffer. My face is not one that was meant for a chin dimple, and that's okay. If you do have a chin dimple, that's awesome too. I'm not anti-chin dimple. I just don't think it's meant for my face. But there we go. Okay, so now we're gonna set aside our shadow for the moment, and we are going to pick up with our highlight, which again, I'm using my concealer as my highlight. So when I was putting the concealer on this concealer, I was kind of like dabbing, but in this case, I'm actually going to use a brush. So I'm using this little guy. Now, I'm not going to do anything with my hairline, but I am going to come in and I'm going to put concealer above my eyebrows, not into it like I accidentally did. And then you want to blend that in. Putting it above the eyebrows just helps to open that area up and add, good for increased emphasis. So there we go there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do kind of a dashed line down the center of my nose here. And then I'm going to tap that in to blend it. The general rule is that wherever you have a shadow, you typically want to add a highlight to partner with it. The exception to that is going to be your jawline that we did. Do not add a shadow on top of that. It will completely eliminate it and it will have been for naught. So don't do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a highlight through here. Now, if you are experienced putting on eyeshadow, you may already have a really good eyeshadow palette and sort of technique that you do. Go for it. This is just a very basic contouring. So if you already have a system that you use, I am not suggesting that you abandon it. Okay, we're going to do a little bit down here in this bottom corner, which is going to help to open and brighten the eye area. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and I think we're going to add, we're not really going to bother adding it to above our shadow line here and here because we're about to put blush on it. So it doesn't really matter. So that's kind of what we're doing with our highlight. If you want to, you can kind of come in and do just a little bit on kind of the center. And that just means that when you do, you know, you get, again, you get some nice brightness to the eye area. It's up to you. Okay, so now we're gonna come in and we're gonna use our blush. And again, I'm using a very neutral blush here. And I'm just gonna take it and run it just a little bit above, right there and there. And then same for over here. And my brush is a little wet, and that feels a little weird, but it's fine. Okay, and so next up, we're gonna go ahead and jump down to the lip area. So with that, we're gonna start off with our pencil, and I'm going to go ahead and shape the top of my lips to be a little larger. And the music, of course, makes this sound like a very bad idea. Oh, no, it's a good idea. Okay. I'm gonna eliminate this extreme bow and make it a little less extreme. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with my lip color and I'm going to go on top of all of that, which is going to help to blend it. And so I'm dragging it down. A lot of times I'll apply lip with a brush. I'm just not doing that this time for some reason. So if you find that your reshaping is not showing up as much as you want it to, that is when we come back in with our shadow. Okay, and now I'm going to go back over that again with that same neutral lip color. Yeah, I'm a little happier with that. Not terribly happier, but that's fine. Okay, so this is essentially your basic contouring. When you do this project, do not like half and half your face like I did. Pick one or whatever you want to do. You can play around with this. If you want to play around with your nose shape, go for it. With any of this, this is you exploring the basics of stage makeup. So just go for it. So then after you finish it, what you want to do is you want to get a photograph from head on, then you want to get one from the left, and that's definitely the right. You want to get one from the right and one from the left. You also need to include a photograph of you without makeup on. So you should take that before you start, or you can take it after you've taken the makeup off. It's totally your choice. But you'll want to include all of those as well as your makeup chart. On the makeup chart, you need to list all the products that you used, and then you need to go ahead and color in where you use them. So, all right, I look forward to seeing your projects, and I will see you again next week.